Welcome, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Morning, good afternoon. Aristo, it must be. What time is it? It's very early for you, right? You said you're from 7 a.m. So. Uh-huh. And Rooney, you're from India, right? Okay, you're not so far ahead as I thought. So it's 1 hour, 1.5 hour later than for me. But I think we found a good time because this means America is awake, Europe is awake, India, Asia still awake. I think for the Australian guys it's kind of late, but I think that's actually a good time. How have you guys been doing? I see, I see. What do you work, if I may ask? Yeah, glad that you like the changes. I also think the PDFs are way better now. Way more detailed and way more important stuff. Strategic alliances for SaaS ERP company. What is this? Like, you don't have a normal job or something. Boring stuff. Sounds like you work like for some kind of secret service, strategic alliances for countries or whatever. At least it sounds. That's what it sounds to me like. Boring stuff. Yeah, I mean, every job gets kind of boring if you do it for too long, I guess. It's just like repeating the same repeating the same stuff over and over and over is just kind of boring after a while. I did very exciting jobs, but if you do it every single day and like the whole schedule is almost the same every single day, it's like, yeah, even the most interesting job can be boring after a while. But obviously some more than others, I guess. Odo. Okay, okay. Never heard of that. Mm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So what do you do? You're a programmer or ah, I see. Interesting. Uh-huh. Oh no, Rooney, not again. Hallo Andi, Servus. Where are you from, Andi? Exactly, like which part of Germany? You don't need to give me a Postleitzahl, but like the area would be interesting. Stream volumes here. Rooney, what are you doing? Last time you fixed it, right? Can you do it again like that? He can't hear me, obviously. Regensburg, Nuremberg. I see. So Servus is appropriate. Nah, I was talking to Rooney, but obviously he can't hear me because otherwise he wouldn't have stream issues. Frale! Okay, let's give Rooney another 2 minutes or something. Maybe he can figure it. My background, my background is actually kind of blue and some books there and the shelf and okay. No, why did I start? How did I start trading? Good question. Um, I gained interest in the market through GME, and I had contact with it before because my dad was trying to trade himself, and he burned his fingers like in 2010 or something. And he was always telling me about the market more or less. He read some books and stuff, and then he explained to me the concepts of a stop loss and where to put the stop loss and that they're going to hunt it and stuff like that. But I was obviously not very interested as a child or as a teenager. I hated the system, and I was smoking weed all day long. But and everything he told me about the market was just me thinking like or saying like, yeah, this just proves that the whole system is fucked more or less. And I wasn't really interested in trading itself, but I just thought like this is a crooks business. Um, Me pointing fingers, selling weed, haha. But at the same time, some things stayed more or less. Um, and then he also offered me to give me a few $100s if I pick some stocks and he invests the money for me. And I remember, and he said I should I should pick some marijuana stocks because they were like really going hot back then with the whole legalization and stuff like that in talk. And then I never really did it, but with GME then I came back to him and I said, we invest in the stock that you promised me to give me some money to invest, and I want to invest in the stock. Um, and he was the worst broker you can imagine. He sold way too early because he thought I'm just a gambler, and obviously I was more or less because I had zero knowledge, but it would have printed like crazy. But nevertheless, this was my first experience. And then I also made myself an account, like still during the GME stuff. And I never touched crypto because I always thought crypto is just a big scam, which it obviously is. But during this time, there was some nice money to make, I guess. Um, but other than that, I bought some GME, then I lost a lot, around a good chunk of it, like a few $100s. Then I bought back in, I made it all back, and then I just called everything a scam again, never touched it again. And it came back into my mind because a friend of mine told me about crypto and about BTC, and I found the concept of BTC quite interesting. Um, just because I got contact with it before in 2016 or something. I tried to buy drugs and the darknet, and I I lost all of those coins on some kind of wallet on my mom's laptop back then. Nice, Rooney. Glad for you. Uh, yeah, and then so this was my first contact basically. I didn't understand anything, but I came back to BTC in 2022 because a friend told me of it in crypto and that it's a great opportunity to buy in. And I started buying into the market, and at the same time we were building the bus. I showed like the one I showed on X already, and I had the plan to travel the world, and I was always making good money with my company and with my salary, so I was always paid very well, and my company was also doing very well. And so we had saved a lot of money, and we wanted to go for traveling. And the dad of my fiance, so my father-in-law, he's also investing since a few decades already. And so I asked him for advice, and he gave me good advice, like I should spread my money across several sectors and like rather spread it wide than concentrated, because concentrated obviously means more risk. In Germany we say weit gestreut, nie bereut. And I did that. I bought around 70 to 80 stocks during this time, and this was all in 2022. And around 40 to 50% of my money went into BTC, and I barely touched altcoins. I bought a little bit of ETH, but really not much. And obviously, I sold my BTC way too early, but I still made good money. And the stocks also did very well. I also bought Nvidia in 2022. Obviously also sold way too early. But all of them nevertheless printed me a lot of money. And I had a bit of timing luck, but I also used this opportunity and obviously had good cash flow from my business and from my job. And so it was a bit of luck. It was a little bit of taking action at the right time. Um, and everything together like made me profitable from the beginning from an investment perspective, more or less. And then I dipped my toe into altcoins in 2023, and like the gains were insane for a short period of time, but I round tripped most of it. I made some gains on some of those, but yeah, I basically round trip six figures or something. And this was also the time where I really started gaining interest in the market, or like from a trading perspective. Before I was just like getting investment information and or also fundamental stuff and a little bit of charts, but not really. And I really, from the beginning, more or less, I made myself an X account. This was also why I dipped my toes into altcoins. X is pretty much one of the worst sources I ever touched, but because before I was really risk averse and everything. And with X, I started piling into the real garbage. Um, but also this made me like getting in contact with real trading, and I found Monitor pretty much immediately, more or less, because I found Crypto Phoenix and all those guys, and then I saw Monitor. And in the beginning I thought like, oh, he's kind of arrogant and he's always like thinking he knows everything, but over time I saw, okay, he's right again and again and again. And he was pretty much the only one who was really right, and I think it was with him around 10K followers or something. And I also found Lucky Chart Ape, and we were traveling still, so I had basically every day, the whole day, and I was locked in for 10 to 12 hours a day, like only studying trading knowledge, Money Tower, Lucky Chart Ape, and pretty much started trading with the right knowledge from the beginning. And yeah, this is like 2.5 years ago, almost. Yeah, must be. Yeah, and since then, I would consider since then I really spent a lot of quality hours, but obviously also before I spent basically around 1,000 hours or something all the way since 2022 to study the whole fundamental stuff, how investing really works, all that. As said, pretty much from the beginning with good information, also from my dad. Not that he was ever a great trader or something, but he had the right knowledge. He just couldn't act really on it, and then he also stopped it again because obviously he had to work a day job. And he's still very interested. And so he brought my attention with a very young age to it. And so when I heard those all those terms again, it pretty much like ring the bell immediately, because I heard it before. Like, yeah, things you learn from a young age are usually learned way quicker. So yeah, this is basically my whole market trading journey. And interesting because last year I was all about trading, like the whole year was all about trading, and this year came more or less for full circle back to the whole investment stuff. And now I combine the best of both because only trading just takes too much time, but only investing just gives too less like returns. And so I combine the best of both. Tight risk management, risk to reward allows me bigger position sizes, knowing how to handle leverage, knowing how to read charts. Obviously, all this um, helped me so much. So in the end, it was good for me to dip my toes into altcoins because I would still like lack a lot of knowledge. And who knows how this would have ended if I hadn't like acquired the right knowledge. But obviously, I also learned I could have just kept BTC and had outperformed all my altcoin trading by, yeah, basically 3x. I got myself into financial markets due to one of my professors. He was part of the founding hours of Scalable Capital. Oh, interesting. Interesting. sometimes it's enough to get led to onto the right path. So he did that right. Definitely, definitely. And he was always about financial education from a very young age. My parents are also two you will call it yeah, entrepreneurs, more or less businessmen. My dad like took over the company of my grandfather, so it was a little electrician company, um, selling refrigerators, all the home stuff you need, and also installing houses to hold cables, lights, all the stuff. And it's a very old company from 19 I think it was 19 from the 1920s or even something. No, no, sorry, no, 1930s or something. So it's pretty much a pretty old company, but it was always just a family business. And so from a very young age, I was also integrated into the business if I wanted or not. So I had to take calls, I had to write bills, I had to make all the paperwork or help my mom with the paperwork. When I was older and stronger, I had to help my dad delivering the stuff, working with him on the construction sites or stuff like that. So from a very young age, I was introduced to how to work and how to run a business, more or less, even though it was just the family business, more or less, and just very local. But still, like many processes are the same. And all of that helped a lot in trading and over my career, also building my own business and stuff. And to be honest, everybody wants to go in the internet today, and I totally understand because in the internet you reach people all over the world globally, and you basically for many things you don't even need like a real storage room or something like that, which is way easier, and the profit margin is way higher and everything. But nowadays, if you like where you are and if you enjoy your home and if you find a work that you really like with a normal craftsman job, which nobody wants to do anymore. I mean, I learned carpenter, and nobody really wants to do those jobs anymore. So you get paid a lot, and if you build your own business, you get paid like a fucking lot. So I built beds, for example, wooden beds, and just because you can buy it on IKEA for like 3K, I could sell it for also 3K. I could even like take more because it's like handmade from a real carpenter, blah blah. But I was never taking more, and it was maybe $500 in material and 4 hours of work, and I got like 3K. So there are so many businesses one can run, and especially like if you have a passion for something and you can combine this, yeah, just amazing. Yeah, I'm very glad that the course helps so much, because yeah, I'm mainly doing this for like this for you guys for like trading is a not a very how should I say, for example, I was working as a playground builder more or less, and if you build a playground and a child says you, hey, nice, this is a very nice tool or a very nice like tower to play or to climb or whatever, you have some kind of feedback and you have like you make somebody happy. And with trading, you click a button and at the end you make money and you sit alone in your office and it's like, yay. You know what I mean? Not that I want to be like this grateful or something, but from a like fulfillment perspective, trading offers not as much as other jobs I have done. And that's why I really appreciate you guys and that you enjoyed so much and that it helps. Definitely. I'm so happy about that. I've been investing for a longer time, borrowing ETF stuff and also BTC in the bear market. And I didn't care about markets that much in the sense that I didn't want to dig deep. I just knew it, especially ETFs just go up over a long time. But at one point, I got interested into trading and I'm so happy I immediately found my into LCA. And then obviously Max and Albert were inside too. Yeah, and to be honest, this is like really being lucky finding the right sources from the beginning. I mean, obviously, it's also like a choice who you want to listen to. But I think in the whole space, and especially if you come over the crypto space, it's very hard to get the right sources. And if you so if, for example, you say you came from the ETF stuff, and that's usually a sign that you found the right sources already, because no LARP will recommend you buying an ETF. So probably you had some nice sources there already. And then coming into trading and having the right sources there as well is worth a lot, really a lot, because I think this is one of the hardest steps. And once you got them, the real work begins still. But at the same time, many like don't really overcome the first step of finding the right sources. A good scam sniffer knows. Yeah, me too. Me too. And as said, the first time I came really into contact with like the whole LARP side of things were when I made myself an X account, and then I found like all the worst ones like Rover and Crypto and all them. And in the beginning, you think like, wow, they have so many followers, and it sounds a little bit smart what they say because you don't really understand the concept behind it. Um, but at the same time, after a short while, you see they predict something and it just doesn't play. I mean, it's like over and over they follow the same script and they fall for the same things. And there's the saying, "Fool me once, shame on me, but fool me twice." Or no, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. Um, and this is really also like the case for the whole scam side of this market because yeah, I mean, I sometimes look at those posts or videos of those LARPs because I want to see their opinion or get a confluence or something. And like this Crypto guy, he's like so embarrassing to be honest. And then he's showing his $1 million profit positions, and this was right at the BTC top. And now looking at all those altcoins he showed, yeah, I can imagine what happened to his positions. And most likely we will see him scam again just because he will run out of money eventually. But I really think those scammers, they get their bill sooner or later. I think they're all on the list because why would the government or the powerful refuse this money because they can just like like take all this money back, all the money they made, all the money they scammed just by suing them and yeah, taking this money back. So it's free money for them. So I guess they're all on a list. If something sounds to be good to be true, it's most likely not worthwhile. Yeah, that's exactly it. Selling the dream is true in all industries, but in crypto or in the market, it's especially true. And also like having realistic targets. So many traders start out and first they come to the market with in crypto with the expectation they're gonna be rich in a very short period of time. The next logical step, if you if you live long enough to come to the next logical step is okay, I want to learn trading. And then still people have very unrealistic goals. As said, elite traders, as said many times before, elite traders make 100% a year consistently. Some may outperform this, but consistently over a long time period, 100% a year is a lot. And so 100% a year, and ask around how many people are like performing this way every single year. It's not much, and it's not many. But at the same time, it's still huge gains. I mean, for example, a very simple example. I had this with a Menti today. Can actually show this. So if you, for example, only time the SPX ever since like the COVID crash, and let's imagine you had like 100K. So you double it here, right? It's 200K. Then you sell it like around the top. As said, it's just an example. Perfection doesn't exist, but it's 100%. Then you add this back, you're already at 200K, right? You add this back, you add another 73%. So 200K, 73% is whatever, 100 and something K. So we are round about the 300K already. And then you add it back and you make another 40% within a short period of time, which is then almost adding up to 450K or something. So you basically almost 5x your money by just investing at the SPX at the right time. And I mean, most people don't have 100K to invest in the market. I get that. But it's just about, you could have made, since COVID, you could have made with the SPX a 5x with just a little timing. And without timing, you would have made a 3x. And how many people can tell that they made a 3x since COVID. Most people are worse or around break even or made some and lost it again because everybody tries to chase those big gains with altcoins. And this is just so unrealistic. As said, consistently 100% is something elite traders achieve, and then the average altcoin gambler wanna achieve 10 times as much in a single year. And sometimes this happens, right? We have some years, we have some outliers, and if this happens, this is great. But if it's like, can you repeat this process is always the question. Is it a system or was it luck? And for most people that got rich with altcoins, it was just luck. And now everybody tries to repeat that. And ever since here, most altcoins are just a pain in the ass. And so, yeah, realistic targets also in the trading world. Get rich quick scheme, but greed of people just takes over. Yeah, this definitely. As said, if you like fall for one time or maybe a second time for somebody who's selling just a rich quick scheme, okay, because in the beginning we can't know, right? So nobody like falls on this earth and suddenly knows everything. We need to make mistakes, but I mean, after the second time, um, it's pretty much people's fault, I guess. Somebody I know actually got rich off Cardano in 2021 bull run. Guess what? He's back to working a day job because everything's gone. Yeah, and this is just the reality because people, even though if you make a lot of money, most people are not ready to handle this. Because with huge money comes huge responsibility, and you either like spend it all or you just burn it again because you try to repeat this process in crypto again. And the trap worked perfectly for most people. And there's also a reason why all those influencers who claim to be in crypto since so many years, why they still scam people. It's not like they already made it and it's all easy for them, because otherwise they wouldn't need to scam people. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. Realistic goals, very, very important stuff. Also in trading, as said, have realistic percentage goals. Also, I talk to people that tell me, "Oh yeah, I want to make $300 $300 a day with trading," but they trade at like a 1K account, and it's like 10% a day, bro. This is not realistic, right? Um, as said, a realistic goal is 10% a month, maybe 20%, and 50 to 100% a year is a very good performance with trading. And this doesn't feel like much if you have a small portfolio, but as said, take the 100K portfolio, for example, 100% a year is 100K a year, or 50% is a 50K a year. And it's all about percent. Your goal should always be measured in percent. Okay, let's talk a little bit about routines. You guys ask about routines. Um, so I have pretty much a very simple like trading routine. Um, my trading routine is basically, or let's start with my morning routine because I usually get up. I have some kind of ingwer, cinnamon, lemon, mint tea as a self brewed and with fresh ginger and all that. And then I usually take some fresh air, some sunlight, or some daylight at least if the sun is not out. And then I check my positions, which is usually pretty quickly done because the whole stock market is not open when I wake up. The stock market opens at 12 o'clock my time. Crypto usually is very quickly scanned because I look at BTC, I look at ETH, I looked at a lot at Doge, but yeah, everything moves together anyway. So usually my positions are very quickly scanned. And also majors. I don't check majors every single day if I know what's up. Only if big moves happen. So for example, I wake up and I see, okay, BTC moved 3, 4, 5%. I want to see what majors did. But also not every single day. But also as said, I'm a swing trader. So for me, everything that happens is higher time frame. So I have time, and I don't need to check everything every single day. And for example, I see another higher high, close above this local high. Now the question is, can we take out this? Or here on USDC, we also closed above this key high here, above the range, behind the wick, so many people won't really see this. Same as on BTC. And I look for those closes, obviously. Then on Monday, I check the weekly closes, write my updates, and then usually I'm prepared for the week. And this is basically my trading routine. And then obviously if I manage my positions and all that, this is usually happening around noon then, because mostly I trade stocks lately. And so as said, pre-market opens for me at 12, and then I usually have a look at 12, check all my positions. I have this list here, and I have all the stocks I'm in are marked with a green level. The ones I'm looking at with a yellow one, and I have also a blue one, which is basically not active anymore. The yellow one is more or less, it's like a traffic light. Yellow means wait, and C and green means in. And if there is no level, it's usually very, very wide, or very far away. And yeah, so I said around 12, and then obviously around the New York opening, I I look at the charts again and check what is happening around the opening. And if there's volatility, I execute my positions if necessary. I adjust my positions, I TP or whatever. And this is all not taking a lot of time, to be honest. Yeah, and if this is all executed, I from a position management side, there is nothing else to do. Obviously, as said, on a higher time frame, there is not much to manage most of the time. Then I used some time after I scanned all my positions and managed everything. This is happening before noon. I I look around for new ideas. I maybe write a text, which is more or less my journaling. I just write down my thoughts, what happened, update the group, write with some members, or do stuff like that, or just look for new narratives, new companies, look into new sectors, and find some new charts like this one. I have a lot of sources in the internet which I scan on a weekly basis to see what's up, news, and I don't check news daily because I don't see a reason for that. For me, it's enough to get one overview at the end of the week or at the beginning of the week to see what happened last week, because intra-week news stuff is usually just noise, and the closes then tell me what's really up, and so I don't need to check this all the time. I see no reason for that. And yeah, so this is basically my trading routine. This is very different from what I did last year. So last year it was a lot more aggressive. I spent a lot more time because things were a lot more complicated to me, obviously. And so I trading gets easy in my view once you have a certain amount of knowledge, because now I look at this chart and it takes me maybe 10 seconds to understand what the structure is telling me, which used to take like more than 10 minutes or 50 minutes to really wrap my head around. And then I got confused or I got distracted by some things because it's so much information and so much data at once. But nowadays, it's as said, I look at it and usually it takes me a few seconds and I realize what's going on. Even if I look at a fresh chart, this is just experience and repetition, and obviously spending hours doing this. And now that I have spent those hours, I don't need to push as hard anymore as I used to do. But I understand for guys or for you guys, if you're still in a different stage of your trading career, things take a lot more time. And this is why time management, aka routines, is very important, especially if you work a day job, if you have a family. All those things are very important to manage correctly. And I'm not saying you need to plan out every single minute of your day, because, for example, I would hate that. But at the same time, you need some habits that you do on autopilot that are like just like brushing your teeth, right? You don't think about it, you just do it, or at least I hope so. And with trading, it should be the same. So you have your exercises or your things you go through daily without even thinking about it, and just getting the reps and just spending time. And all of this is best done with proper time management. And I'm not saying you should like you need to get up at 5 a.m. or you need to do all this in the morning. But for example, for me, my quality time to get the best things done are my mornings. So I usually try to get all my things done in the morning, everything I want to do. If I want to write something, journal something, make a new analysis, all those things usually happen for me before lunch, because after lunch I know I have some kind of energy hole, And then usually in the evening it gets better again. But obviously I want to spend some quality time with my family also. And so I try to get everything done in the morning. This is my most productive time. And I know if you work a day job, this means you need to get up early and you need to go to your day job. But if you can, and I was like talking about this last week also, get some kind of morning routine, get like 3 wins in. And I have this from the book 5 a.m. Club. And as I said, you don't need to get up at 5 a.m. necessarily to achieve those results. But for somebody who needs to work at 8, for example, you get this extra hour in the morning, which is your quality time, which you can use to improve yourself or whatever. And best, you implement 3 things, which is mindfulness, aka meditation, some kind of exercise, and some kind of skill you want to learn. And this could be by reading a book or by, for example, learning about the market. And or maybe both. Maybe you read a book about the market, like the book Market Visits or something. So 3 wins in the morning, because if you start your day like this, you have already more or less achieved something. And first of all, this will leave a very, very beautiful feeling of being very productive and achieving your goals. And who doesn't like to feel good about himself? And at the same time, you will like consistently put in an hour or something, how much time you have, I don't know, of achieving and working and grinding to your goals. And this is like, as I said, brushing your teeth. The first weeks might be a little bit hard, especially if you have to get up very early to get these things done. But at the same time, it will give you discipline, it will give you the routine, and it will give you the reps and the quality hours. And you need those hours. As said, for me, I look at the chart and I have a very, very quick understanding of what I'm looking at. And a beginner most of the time need a long time and scrolling and looking and doing before they can really read the chart. And this is just experience, time spent, quality time spent on the charts. And as I said, if you can implement this every morning, it's like also like in the book Atomic Habits, habit stacking, getting up and doing this and then doing this and then doing this, like stacking one habit on top of each other reminds you, once you do the first thing, it reminds you already of the second. If your sport shoes are already in your more or less in front of your door, you will see your sport shoes, which will remind you to do this habit. If you start your day by going outside, taking a walk, going for a run, doing some kind of exercise. I, for example, usually do a core exercise in the morning. Um, and it's just 10 minutes, but it gets the pump going, or the heart going, I mean, the pump. The heart going, it gets some air into your brain and like really wakes you up. And it also, like, if you, for example, want to be healthy and have a strong body, it's like 2 strikes with one clap. I don't know the English saying for that. So what I want to say is build some routines, not just for trading, but also in your life, and get intentional. What do you want to achieve in life? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to be a good trader? So do that. Do those things. Make them a habit. Make them like something you can't really skip because it's already part of your day. And the best thing, in my view, is to do this in the morning, because every day you get up. You stand up in the morning and you get your feet on the ground, and then your day starts. This is what happens every day. If you try to implement habits midday or something, it's usually harder because it's not every day it looks the same. Sometimes you have to work longer, shorter, sometimes you have like whatever. And in midday, so many things change. You have so many variables that it's hard to do habit stacking. You could also pick, for example, the time before bed to do those things. This all depends on your character, on your time schedule, on your like whole life situation. So you could also do all those things before you go to bed. But before bed or after bed is usually the best time to do habit stacking, because as said, you every single day you go to bed and every single day you stand up, get up from your bed. So this happens every day. So it's easier to implement habits around the bed, more or less. Yeah, so much to routines, and obviously then one of those wins can be your trading routine. And whatever you need for your trading routine is completely up to you, because everybody has different issues. For example, if you struggle with market structure and read it properly, do every single day do some market structure analysis. Where is a break of structure? There's a reason why I write those things down. most of all because I share a lot of charts and I want to see people to make people see what I see. But this could also be an exercise for you. Where is a break of structure? Where's no break of structure? Where is just a fake down? And so on. And this will help you to see better and to understand the whole chart better. It's like going to the gym, getting the reps in, doing like chart analysis over and over and over. And this can be part of your morning routine or evening routine. For the stocks, you place limit order, market order to enter. Depends. Most of the time, I enter per limit order, simply because many trades I take are in pre-market, and that then you only can place limit orders, you can't market order pre-market. But also, if it's an optimal level, I have a limit order ready. But I also do a lot of manual execution. So if the market is already open, I do also a lot of market orders. Um, on stocks, you have a lot of time. It's not like in crypto, the level gets touched and you have a wick like this, and it's like, oh no, I got front run or whatever. Um, yeah, so it's all everything is a little bit calmer. I know for stock price can move a bit in post hours. Yeah, post is usually very quiet compared to pre, but pre-market is usually volatile simply because the European market is already open and you can trade all of those stocks also on European exchanges. Haven't heard about that kind of setup yet. I'm not sure what kind of setup you mean, if this is related to what I've said. The routine I posted in student discussion was a bit different half a year ago. I tried to do all after my day job. I just couldn't get it done, so I had to change my routine, which I also got from the 5 a.m. club, or at least some derivative of it. Yeah. As said, there are so many variables, but for what I've seen for myself and seen in other people's lives, implementing something in the morning is usually easier because every morning would basically look the same. So you get up and then you can like do this and that, and then if I remember back in Germany when I was working my day job and all that, you get a call from a customer, oh, you need to go there some for oh, my mom needs help with this or that, or oh no, something is with the car. All of those things don't happen in the morning, right? You get up, you had a good night of sleep, hopefully, and then you get up and then it starts. Usually no calls, no nothing, no whatever. You can just do your thing. And I did the 5 a.m. club. I did it exactly like it was in the book, like getting up at 5 a.m. We went for a run, like 30 minutes or something, 20 to 30 minutes. I did some meditation, did some reading, then we did some yoga even because we had a lot of time. And then I was pretty much done with all of my routines at 7, and it always felt like, okay, what should I do now? The day is barely started. Most people are not even awake, and you achieved already so much. It's a great feeling, really. But I found like after months of getting up at 5, even though we were traveling, right? We had no obligations, and especially in the wintertime, if you live in a bus and you get up at 5 and the sun comes up at 8:30, you have 3.5 hours of darkness, and usually the routine is done at 7, as said, and then you sit there and it's 1.5 hours, it's dark. It's like, okay, what should we do? Because even reading is hard with only the headlight and stuff. So it wasn't really convenient anymore. Um, but it helped a lot with willpower. It helped a lot like implementing those routines, and a lot of it sticked. So even though I don't get up at 5 a.m. anymore, I just live with the sun cycle more or less, but I still have a lot of those habits in my life. And obviously, like you said, also it changes. Like it was different half a year ago. For me, it's the same. Like half a year ago, I had very different things, but some routines, but some things just stay. So like my core routine, ever since late last year or early this year, every single day, with a few exceptions when my body was completely sore, I just listen to him. I do my core exercise. I do at least 50 push-ups. I do at least 50 chin-ups. And this is something that sticked. And as I said, if my body is completely sore because I overdid it the training day before in the gym or something, I don't want to wreck my body, and I don't want to like not be able to recover. But at the same time, those habits stick. And if I skip a day because my body's sore, that's not a problem, I guess. but the core habits stay, and I already almost feel bad. It's like skipping brushing my teeth. It's like, oh my God, I should have brushed my teeth. It's like, oh, I should have done my core routine or my workout routine in the morning. And also, I usually wake up and then I read at least 10 pages in my book, sometimes more, but at least 10 pages usually. And this is also a habit that sticks. And I don't do it anymore like rigid like it's in the book, you need to do it like that or that or that, but it helps to implement like the things, and the core stuff sticks then. Great book about discipline that helped me a lot, The Willpower Instinct. Didn't heard of that one, but I will write it down. It's a bit more practical than Atomic Habits, to my opinion, since the book is not telling you what you want to do, but explains how your brain works and why you want to do this instead of that, and how to use it to advantage. Sounds interesting, yeah. Um, I guess many books are pretty much um, telling the same or teaching the same, but in a different language. It's also with trading. There are so many ways to get to the goal, but the most important thing is you should know what your goal is, and then you will figure your way to there. So there are so many ways also in the market to like make money. If the goal in the end is making money, there are 100 ways, 1,000 ways how you can make effectively money in this market, and just a few will feel natural to you. And it could be the best strategy in the world. Also for the whole willpower routine thing, it could be the best strategy in the world. If it doesn't feel natural to you, it won't stick, and you won't probably have the same success than with doing something that feels natural, which doesn't sound so smart maybe, or it's not the world best strategy or whatever. You read different books about similar topics and the path just gets clearer, but the underlying seems to be very identical things usually. Exactly. It's like human behavior, human mind, human psyche is basically for everybody the same, but the interpretation is very different for each of us. Okay, I think routines, we have covered routines. If there are any questions, obviously you can just ask. But as said, implement 3 wins, work on your goals, and I would recommend to do this every single morning. And you guys will see how dramatically your life can change. And also those people who tell me they're not morning persons, if they start doing it, they feel great usually after being tired and complaining about getting up early for a few weeks. They feel also great. So being a morning person, I think, is something we tell ourselves, or being not a morning person is something we tell ourselves. I think in the end, it's all about telling stories about to ourselves, and we can decide which one we want to believe and which one we want to not. It's also a big part of becoming truly free. I guess, yeah. So I remember Victoria was asking about the whole macro stuff. And I think, Victoria, I covered this kind of well already last time. I don't know what else to add. Um, so if you like, because you said what major is responsible for what, I think I explained this last time, and I can't really add much more. If you want to understand this on a deeper level, you can just ask GPT, for example, what USTD, for example, means and what it's made of, and you will see those are things you just need to like repeat. If it doesn't click like immediately, it's no problem. You need to repeat it. But I think I covered it quite well last time. The money flow and how to understand the whole picture. I had this topic with a mentee of mine today. That's why this chart is already open. So, for example, I think a big part of the whole money tower edge is basically understanding the whole picture and connecting the dots. While like the technical stuff, like breaker blocks, supply and demand, premium discount, was all there before him. Like this is like more or less smart money concepts. What he added was those double FEGs. I've never seen them before, to be honest, those double hiddens. And the preciseness he has about predicting the future of the market and the system, like even for a whole year. So he has like a picture, or his skill of timing is not comparable with anything else I've seen. I've seen a lot of good technical traders, I've seen a lot of good fundamental guys, but he has combined the best of both, in my opinion. especially like his timing skill and how he's able to predict the market is insane. And for example, this these are all the important news that happened like in 21. So this was the first top, right? And then we formed this bottom here on very bearish news. But people, for example, always so first of all, you come to the market and you think like bullish news are bullish, right? And then you figure after a while in studying the right sources that bullish news are meant to make you buy at the wrong possible time. And then the next common sense is what I see a lot of people doing is they're bullish news, so price must go down. But unfortunately, the market is not black and white. You need to consider that like the market is made out of is made from a few of the or some of the smartest brains on the planet, and that this is made to trick people who think rational, right? Because if you're drawn to the market, you're most likely a little bit analytical. You're interested in connecting the dots and all those things. So this is usually a trade those people share. Maybe others are just here for the thrill or for the money or whatever. But many people, especially the ones looking at the macro situation, are usually a little more analytical. And so it's not black and white, and it's definitely not easy, just bullish news or bearish and the other way around. It's way more nuanced. So between all of those black and white layers, there are many layers of gray. And for example, looking at this was basically the same thing happened this year, earlier this year. So we had the first top, we came down on bearish news, and we had like chains get hacked and all that. But ever since here, like very bullish news, you see Bank of America, Jack Dorsey, Katie Wood, Elon Musk, all bullish on BTC and crypto. World B conference. Elon announces that SpaceX holding BTC, ETH, and Doge. And even though this was all very bullish news, we pumped another like 100%. And I mean, look at this, was up only basically. And the biggest short squeeze ever on BTC happened here. And this just showing how bearish people were and how in disbelief about those bullish news, even though the bullish news were bullish in this case. And you see the same thing happened basically here. We had a bearish news into this, even though crypto was bullish most of the time, but we had the trade war, tariffs, all this stuff. And then ever since here, people were so in disbelief, like the trader community thought 72K must happen. We have to take this fuel before going higher, which is total bullshit because this is not how fuel works. Fuel is like people being wrong positioned or not positioned at all and chasing those moves. And again, we had massive short squeeze into this here. We even made another higher high, way higher, almost no pullbacks within here, and all on bullish news. Sailor bought, here crypto banking guidance withdraws from the FEC, FEC, sorry, what is it called? Fed, sorry. You better go out and buy stock now. It's a great time to buy from Trump here. We have the ETH update within here, all that. So this was all bullish news. And yet people, if you look in order flow, people shorted the whole move. They got squeezed and squeezed and squeezed just because they were so in disbelief. The ones that are like we lose 100K and this must be the top kind of guys, and the whole macro situation looks so bad kind of people, but also the traders who thought we need to take this level before we can go higher. And this was obviously wrong. And you see, it's the same like with everything else. If you don't take the time to study those things, where should like the picture come from? And so you need to take some time to do this, and you have two options. You either do this in real time and you wait like 10 years or 15 years, because Minotaur is probably doing this since 10 or 15 years, to connect the dots, and you track this in real time, or you just go to historic charts and like compare what happened. And it's very easy nowadays because you just ask GPT about like historic news, you put them onto your chart, and you come up with conclusions. And you will see it's definitely still not easy then, but without doing this, where should the picture come from? And I see almost nobody spending time with this because everybody is so focused on trading lower time frame ranges. But I think a big edge can be found here by understanding the whole bigger picture game, and then you can add with lower time frame stuff if you still feel like you want to do that. But building a higher time frame picture is only possible by understanding the history, and by really connecting the dots. And so this is, for example, something you can do, like connecting all the news, or also just look at market structure. How did price behave before? How were people acting around those prices? How was the sentiment? Like really zooming out, not just being very zoomed in, but really zooming out and looking at the history of those charts. Also the SPX, not just like what happens within 2 days or something. Zoom out, look at the whole chart. Look how it behaves differently. We have ranges, we have trending markets, ranges, trending markets. So there is definitely patterns to it. And as said, you need to spend time with those charts to really understand those patterns. And the funny thing is, those patterns repeat, right? So we have the same patterns over and over and over. Why? Because the chart is nothing else but a print of human psychology and human behavior. And ever since its existence, it's nothing but buying and selling. Okay, you can add a lot of layers of complexity over the years, and obviously it became like bigger and yeah, more details and more complexity. And it also changed because it became like the big retirement funds, more or less, for the whole for all OS citizens, basically. So like movement and behavior changes, and also the algorithmic trading and internet trading and blah changed a lot, but the underlying principle of buying and selling it still remains the same. And buying and selling happens because of human emotions. The whole market is nothing else but a print of human emotion, more or less. And as said, study historic patterns and compare it to real world situation, to macro situations, to news, to systems, even to like history. Like as said, what happened in the 1920s, for example. I took 3 weeks of studying old newspapers. I made myself an account on this newspaper site, and there you can look up newspapers from 1860 or something from the Washington Post and stuff like that. And you will see, if you do that, you will see the underlying principle of the market was always the same. It's like 150 years like that. And the underlying principle did not change. The tools did change, yeah, but the underlying principle is still the same. And as I said, it will keep on repeating itself because it just works, and nobody spends time like figuring those things out. And look at the best investors, look at the best market readers, like Ray Dalio, for example. There's an interview with him at the Diary of a CEO, and he says he studied 300 years of human history, or was it 600? I don't remember. Or I think it was 300 years of human history. And he says human society goes through the same cycles over and over and over. And 300 years ago, there was no market, not like this market at least, but buying and selling always existed. And human society and the economy always went through the same kind of cycles. And he said, only if you're placed at the right side at a certain moment of history, you made it. And he said, freedom of location, freedom of time, and those things, they always mattered, because people who could leave the place that got bad, they are the ones who made it in history. If you were tied down to one single place, and like you had bad luck, and this area of the world like went bust, more or less, and you couldn't leave, then you're on the wrong side of history. And as said, those things matter, not just from a trading perspective, but also like from how you should structure your life kind of perspective. If you really dive into the money game, you will see that the whole cash flow thing is more or less the whole game everybody plays, and people don't even know. So everybody plays the whole money game, if you want or not, because everything is tied to each other. And if you're not in the market, you're already paying the price with inflation. It's like in a poker game, having the small blind or the big blind, you always need to bet. But in reality, in the market, you don't even know, because you pay with inflation. Okay, you get the first kind of pieces of knowledge. Okay, you hedge yourself against inflation by buying assets. Okay, good. And then you get better in this and that, and you will see everything is interconnected, the whole system, the whole market, everything, more or less. And so this can be a very fun activity of figuring those puzzle pieces out over the centuries, more or less. And as said, I see almost nobody really doing this. And this is why many people struggle to have like this macro picture in mind and understand what this really is, because most people look at the whole chart maximum like maybe to Corona, to COVID, because most people came into the market here and they only know more or less in live terms, they only know this part of the chart, and this same story on BTC. They all experience just this. And either you wait 10 to 15 years, collect more data, more experience, or you speed up this process and save yourself a lot of mistakes and money by like study the history. Yeah, I think this cover your 3 points, I hope at least. Can we please cover how each market reacts to what levels, like differences in trading between markets, crypto, forex, and stocks? I have not much data to forex because I just don't like forex, to be honest. I mean, crypto is obviously you should just pick an edge, like the Monitor edge, for example, breaker blocks, supply and demand, premium discount. And on stocks, I shared actually my whole how I approach stock strategy in the traders live stream today. I can send you guys a link to the channel. Here we go. So you can check that out. This covers more or less all of my stock strategy. Obviously, it's always a bit more than just what you can tell in just one live stream. But as said, if you follow me and if you follow the live streams, you will see that I will keep updating those positions over and over and over, and then you can just learn from my actions basically. And also I update those positions live in the group, right? Um, but this is how I usually start. So in the middle of the stream, you will get my whole thought process, how I approach those stocks. Where did you find all this news? ChatGPT? Yeah, exactly. So there's deep research. You can go for ChatGPT and you say, for example, give me the news from January of 21 to December of 21, and then you will ask you which kind of news, and then you say, okay, financial news, maybe global economy related news and crypto related news. And then he will make you a very nice spreadsheet with all those news, exact dates, maybe even references, resources. Bro, it seems to be most people just take random Elam tweets, and then in hindsight, yeah, it was so obvious, just no strategy set up behind that. I bet barely anyone backtested this kind of new stuff apart from you, obviously, and a few others. This is what I observe as well. Um, First of all, like the in hindsight guys, I always think like, yeah, nice information. Would have been nice if I had this information before, so I can really do something with it. Obviously, it makes sense to look back and to learn and to like look at this data and take it into account. But oftentimes it's just like, yeah, they pretend they did know before, but if you are always like a little bit cryptical or talk in riddles, then you can always, in a probabilistic environment, talking like that does not only sound appealing, like it's not only a nice way to sell yourself, but it's also a nice way to come after the fact and say, yeah, look at my post, I was telling you that, but it wasn't really clear what he meant. It was just a little like, if you between the lines, it could have meant this or that. So I like people who have a clear thesis with a clear validation, with a clear like goal, and they speak about this and they, which not pretending they want to be, they don't want to spoon feed you, which makes sense. For example, Money Tower is not spoon feeding, makes sense because he can back all of this really up. I've observed him now since 2.5 years. And I know that what he says makes sense and he just want to make people learn. But there are a lot of guys who just follow his footsteps more or less and apply the same strategy, not because they really know, but because they learn from him or because they're a little bit smarter than everybody else. And now they sell it like that. Because as said, in a probabilistic environment, it's great to talk in riddles or stuff like that, because in the end you can come and say, yeah, I told you so, even I didn't, more or less. And yeah, I also bet almost nobody backtested anything. It's also with the people posts. People share all those people posts all the time. But if you look at people's timeline, he has so many opposing pictures. Then there's the bear cook. Then you have like the green September, which did not happen, at least not for crypto. And all those things, so many opposing posts. And you could always come after the fact and tell, yeah, I knew that people meant this or that. And yeah, to be honest, I haven't like really found a clear picture or edge in what he says or does simply because I haven't backtested it. And I also don't see the reason why, because the answer is usually on the chart and I can add some confluence, but I don't really care about his pictures because it's not my edge. Maybe Monitor, Asset Monitor is around for quite a while. Maybe he's observing him for 10 years or something and has all the data and understands what he means. Maybe he knows him even. Maybe they met at some point or they know each other. We don't know, right? It's just an assumption. But he obviously seems to know what he's up to, but yeah, I don't. And so why would I, if I don't understand the thesis, why would I trade it? This is yeah, makes no sense. And yeah, and coming after the fact and wanting to sound smart also doesn't make any sense to me. And so yeah, but as you said, backtesting, if you want to use something like that, if you feel like, okay, there is something to it, study it, collect the data, backtest it, whatever, and make it like a proper thesis, which is then tradable, like you said, and make a strategy or a setup out of this, or at least something that adds confluence. But like you said, I've also barely seen anyone that is doing that. I have a question. Any recommendation how to chart historic charts? Maybe some task like finding the news and see how price reacts. I mean, I can give you a task, but if you want to be a trader and if you want to work for yourself, you need to learn to give yourself those tasks. But for example, how I would start is, so we are all interested if this is the top, right? More or less. So if you're in crypto or if you're in the market in general, you would like to know most likely, is this the top? Should you sell here or not? And you can just like go to previous tops because they're obviously printed on the chart, like here. You go to them and you just collect the news there and you see, okay, also for here, for example, people say, oh, at the top, you have only bullish news. You have only bullish news. US government against exchange Suez. The US government went against an exchange here. Also, Putin says crypto has no value right at the top. How would you interpret that? Like, as said, it's so nuanced. There are so many layers of complexity to it that forming a thesis takes more than just one task. I have tracked all the data, but I have still not made a real post out of this whole thing. I mean, I even tracked the SPX all the way down to 2018 or something. If you want to see that, this chart looks even more crazy. 2019. Why? Because I wanted to understand what forms tops, how are the news there, what is going on, but I have still not a proper thesis or strategy I can trade around. It helped me a lot. For example, the BTC analysis, which I showed you here, helped me a lot to just understand, just because there are bullish news right now, crypto doesn't really mean this is the price could not just go higher. If you look at the grand scheme of things, this was the whole top here. BTC came all the way from here and everything within here, like this was 400% to 1,000% from those lows where it's most likely accumulated, maybe even from lower here. They wanted to sell all throughout here, all through it. Obviously, a little more nuanced. They wanted to make people like sell again and short squeeze them to push price higher to make the move more cheap for them. And so you see, the more I talk, the more complex it gets. And I could add so many layers of complexity. Also, why Putin, for example, is against crypto, because maybe America uses crypto to gain more power for their dollar and all stuff like that. There are so many things to it that I haven't really. Also, for the SPX here, I have all the data, but I have not really found a thesis yet because it's so complex and nuanced, but it helps me a lot to understand it better for myself and to give it a better interpretation. At the same time, I don't make a post because why would I post something I don't understand, right? I could now make a very nice post that would get a few hundred clicks, probably a few hundred likes, because it looks so fancy and they have so many complex things on it, and people like things having complex things. But I don't have a real thesis. I can't really teach anybody anything about this because I still need to like get better myself, understand it better myself. But at the same time, for example, if you want to have a task, do the same thing as I did. Or also, if you don't want to do this historically, or if you did this historically, you can then start to track news on your current chart. I was a bit lazy lately, if I'm completely honest. But for example, you can just check if you see, oh, important news, Watcher Guru is talking about some shit again, and then you add some kind of, here. There's this here signpost, and then you say, okay, blah 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 blah, and then you have on this exact date you have this news tracked, and this you can do this every single week, and then you will create such a chart for in real time. And if you have time, you go back historically. You say, I want to have news all throughout 2018. What led to COVID crash? What were the news within the COVID crash? And all those things. So if you want to have a task, do this for historic charts. Go back, for example, to 2018, collect all the news, and nail it down to important news. So it's not important that there was maybe a squirrel like saved from a tree or whatever. So make it like important global financial news, wars, like Fed rate cuts. I have also one for same story more or less. We have CPI and interest rates. Every time this happens, every time we have interest rates and stuff like that, and cuts, you see I was lazy to add the recent ones. People say, oh yeah, this is bullish, this is bearish. If you look at this chart for long enough, you will see that there is no real signal in CPI. It's sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, sometimes the market goes up, sometimes the market goes down. Ever since I started tracking this, I just figured there is no real short-term like outcome. Price just liquidates people in both directions usually, and then it goes on with its current trend. And CPI is usually not really changing anything. And yet people come up with such wild theses what this means for the market, and market money is injected into the system and blah blah blah. But nobody has really data to back anything of this up. They all look at COVID and they say, oh yeah, they printed money and the market went up. Yeah, right, but they printed a lot of money, like I mean, like what, 5 billion or something within a very short period of time. People got free money, interest rates were at zero. The situation was completely different. And now the rate cuts are just, and the rate cuts and the pump right after, they're just fueling the narrative, in my view, until most people believe, aha, rate cuts are always bullish. And then it will again switch, and it will be different this time. It's always about making most people believe something until, and then they switch the script. And those are things you figure out by collecting the data and being unbiased. For example, I had no real bias about this because I never like built a thesis or anything, and I collected it and I looked at it, and, and then I figured, okay. And I also did in the premium group, I did this little poll more or less, or I asked around what people see, and people came up with theses about what this means and stuff. But in the end, it just showed that it's pretty much random. So I couldn't like trade off of those data alone. Or at least I did not find anything. So as said, if you wanna have a task, do those things yourself. A little bit of history and track those things in real time. And it's good writing them down, even though I was lazy in the last few weeks. I could now collect the data with GBT for this little range here. But at the same time, I could also like just GBT it, or just go for the timeline on Watcher Guru, mark the most important stuff, and also some things I remember, and just check the dates and stuff like that. But obviously this, I can't remember this because I wasn't really paying attention to all of those things, also within the bear market and the bear market lows. And so if you want to gain a better picture over those macro things, then you need obviously to do something similar. And I'm not saying you need to do it like that, but I find it very effective because, as I said, even if I'm around during those times, I couldn't remember when, for example, Trump said it's a great time to buy stocks. How could I even remember which day this was? Maybe I would not even remember that he said that at all, right? So this writing it down is very powerful. Okay. I think these are all the questions. Is there someone who wants to show us his chart, his trades, his reflections? Not all at once, please. It could also be just a higher time frame plan. We don't need to see like a low time frame trade of anyone. You can also say how you handle your whole like crypto portfolio and anything. Okay, Aristo, you are the first. Come come on stage. We can now even share your screen, and you can share whatever you want to share with us, and then we can talk about it. Yeah, we can also look at yours, Victoria. Let's see how much time we have left. Oh, it's actually just 10 minutes, 12 minutes. But Aristo, I sent you an invitation to speak. Yeah, here we go. You can also share your screen. Yeah, we definitely can't hear you. So I guess there is an issue here. Okay, then Victoria, it's your time. I send you an invitation. Yeah, you're not on stage yet. So I send you this invite, and then you need to accept it somehow. I don't know how exactly, but you need to accept it first. Hmm, weird. Maybe it shouldn't be. No, here you go.
Do you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good. Let me share my screen.
welcome.
Let me share my screen. Sorry. Okay. You hear me well, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good. Give me some. Mm. Yeah, for some reason I cannot share it. I don't know. Let me see.
But should be possible now. Aristo was able to do it last time at the end, and I did not change any
Yeah,
settings.
I think it's my local settings. I'm not sure. Mm, it just like, oh my god, Discord is troubling. It just like loading, but I cannot like share, you know, the screen or the application or anything.
Weird.
I can send the screenshot. Yeah, I can send you a screenshot, guys. Maybe you can help me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just looking like that. And that's
And you probably already closed it again and tried it again, yeah, right?
yes.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, weird. Discord is not as reliable as it should be for the price I pay, to be honest. How can we fix? You can also just send your screenshot and I pull it up like last time. So
Okay, maybe I can just like quit this session and then rejoin. What do you think?
we could also try that, of course.
Okay, let me disconnect for a minute. Okay, let's see. No, it's not working.
Hmm.
Okay, let's go with the Rixta. I will try to fix it by the other session by Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, I hope we can solve this. This is really annoying stuff. But we can now try Aristo again. He seems to have solved the sound issues. But
Yeah,
thank you, Victoria.
yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
nice. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. And you?
Great. Thanks. I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully, you guys can see it.
Looks good.
Amazing. So you all can see it, right? Okay, amazing. So just wanted to share this trade. I have some questions. This is a 2-day trade that I took, and no, sorry, that was a 2-day trade that I took, and pretty much I was focusing on the swing failure pattern here. I threw some Fibos as well from previous swings, which they were aligning with this order block. And in addition to that, I was aiming this hidden order block on the today here. If we go to the 9-hour, there was one hidden order block right here. So I thought it would be a good idea in order to have it as a confluence together with the Fibo, as well with the swing failure pattern and the big order block. However, as you can see, the stop loss is way too wide. And I'm having issues, especially when it comes to understanding how to place the stop loss regarding the order blocks that we can see on the chart. If you go through to the 3-day, there's this big order block. So I'm a little confused. I'm usually confused on like how the price will react to order blocks located in higher time frames compared to the hidden order blocks that I found in lower that I can find in lower time frame. So in this case, I'm like, okay, I see a good idea here. I see that I'm in this range, I'm in discount, and I want to do a long trade. Overall speaking, the trend is bullish, so that's another confluence. But when it comes to setting up the SL, I'm like, okay, should I cover the entire order block from a higher time frame? Should I cover the week as well? Because this trade was a 2.7 risk reward, but I could have string the SL, and then it turns out to be a 5 if I'm a 5.5 if I'm only covering the main order block, right? So I'm having a lot of issues with that. And then the take profit, I did 50% take profit at 0.5 Fibonacci. And then I did full take profit at the 2-day order block, in which, as you guys can see, there was some kind of reaction. If you go to the 6-hour, you could see that there was some kind of reaction here. But then it continued to the upside. It broke the order block. I think there was a 1-week order block here. Yes, it went through the order block, and now it's just like, I think like there's like it's having a little bit of a retracement. So that's a little bit what I did. But yeah, mainly I'm having issues with order blocks when they're like higher time frames compared to hidden order blocks in lower time.
Very nice trade, very nice overview, and very good question. So what you trade is basically the higher time frame demand. And so I would at least, like if you go back to the 3-day, I would at least cover the 3-day block, which like you did now in your example, give it a little more room than the block, maybe a little further. No, only the block. This is what you should do at
Okay, so
least, like the whole, like this, yeah.
okay,
And
okay,
and a little more, plus a little bit, yeah, like this. This is what you should do at least, right? You should at least cover the whole liquidity. What you did is like the safer way to go. You lower your risk to reward by like playing it wider, but this also means the trade is a little more safe, right? Because you minimize the risk of getting wigged out. And usually, if people start out in trading, I recommend to focus on a higher win rate and a little lower RR, which is in your case like still almost a 3R trade, which is totally fine. People are so like it doesn't always need to be a 5R or a 10R trade. It's nice, but you always need to consider the tighter you play, the more stops you will take. And for example, if you look at the upper side of the level, if you, for example, would have liked to short the 3-day block, covering the wick would have made perfect sense in this case, and you would probably be still in the trade. And now this short would be in profit.
okay.
And the thing is, we always look back to the like you played it wide, and then you look back and it's like, oh, I could have played it tighter. You play it tighter next time, maybe next time it won't react this perfectly and it will overshoot a little bit. And you can never know beforehand. This is the thing. It doesn't really matter how good your TA is, it's still probabilities. And you just need to ask yourself, do I want to play this trade a little wider, like you did, like covering the wick at the low, playing it a bit wider, a bit safer, and sacrificing a bit of R? Or want to play it more aggressive, more refined, but risking like getting stopped out, maybe need to re-enter, or maybe missing the trade completely. And you will never know beforehand. You can just adjust yourself and say, okay, good, I want to play this hand like this, or I want to like do this move like that. So you only can adjust your strategy, but you will never know the outcome beforehand.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Is it so? This is liquidity. This is a one week order block, right? So I'm expecting price to react here. But then it's just like the week, it just like goes all the way, and then it hits this. I'm assuming this could be called as a swing failure pattern, if I'm not mistaken. Is that usually like based on your experience? Is that normal? That even though you have like big, sort of like a weekly supply here, the price just like weeks through?
No, this is what I mean. You can never know beforehand. This is more or less, this is what probabilities mean. And in this case, market maker had the intention to sweep this high because of maybe there is liquidity you can't see. Maybe there was a aggressive buy up there, which was more or less random at the wick high and pushed price a little further. But most likely there was liquidity above those highs, and that's why like being flexible, not just not every block contains liquidity. Also the swing high contains liquidity. Also this whole thing here is supply, even though this is not a clean block, but you see how this reaction was like, yeah, and we had almost 2 or 3 reactions already from this level, even though it's not a clean block. And this is just the whole area supply. Everything else you do is refining then. And in this particular case, like this is also a reason why I don't really like Forex, because it usually looks like that, and this is not what I like trading. But in this case, you could have shorted the swing failure pattern high. And again, to execution stuff, you can enter at the weekly block, you play it tight, you can then cover just the block at the highs. You get stopped out. And if you know what you do, you might as well enter at the swing failure pattern at the highs. But you need to define your strategy. You cannot do everything at once. This is usually too much. Define your strategy. If you, for example, only trade order blocks, you will have a certain win rate because some order blocks work, some don't. And there is not always an answer how you could have done better, because sometimes it just doesn't make sense to play it that wide because the R is fucked then. So you play just the order block and you accept the win rate it has. Or you just play breaker blocks and you accept the win rate it has. Or you refine order blocks with breaker blocks, play them very tight, and just accept the win rate it has. It's also a game of statistics. And so not always, you could have not always done it better. Sometimes it's just executing the edge and accepting the outcome.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there any other feedback that you would give in terms of this trade? Some like maybe some yellow flags that you could say, oh, you could do this better. This maybe you missed out on that.
Yeah, as said, so you played it quite wide. If I would want to play this, I'm not sure if I would cover the whole wick. I would probably play it like you see it here. And then you did a TP at the 0.5, which was correct. And then you did a full TP at the highs, which is also correct. So I have not much to add, to be honest.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you. I wanted to share that one trade in case I have more, but in case other people want to share, obviously, can we?
Yeah, our time is already over for today.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I appreciate a lot that you shared that with us, and I think this is very helpful also for other people. So very much appreciated. Thank you. And Andy said something to it. I just gonna read it loud, or in this case, people can read it. I think. I've done the recording right today, but I think now they can read it. So I just read it myself and see if you can add something to the whole chart idea. Yeah, exactly. It's different levels, different strategies, definitely. And you can obviously, as I trade both. You can trade the block, you can trade the swing failure pattern, but it's better to figure out like the win rate or execute one trade at a time or backtest one trade at a time, set up a strategy, and then add more layers of complexity. For example, you then, if you're like confident in both trading the blocks, trading the swing failure patterns, you can then add, for example, you see the block fails, but this an obvious swing failure pattern to you, so you short this as well. Your strategy will get more refined and will include more and more things. So yeah, definitely. And yeah, you can please share the BTC swing failure pattern with us, Andy. It's actually a very nice trade. But I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. So you share it next time, like you said. And in general, everybody prepare something, share something with us. This is great, not just for you, but also for other people, to see just different approaches, different thought processes, and oftentimes it's very nice to see other people make things, because it's harder for us to see our own behavior than to see it, for example, in other people. And so I think this could be very, very valuable, not just for you, but also for other people if you share that. Okay. Any more questions? Like something important? Thank you as well. Much appreciated that you all find time for those sessions. I enjoy them a lot, and I'm very glad you enjoy it as well. I think we have our times for the next month. It's going to be Wednesday and Saturday. It seems like most people are happy with those times. No more questions. That's good. I think, by the way, I recorded the wrong screen. Luckily, I talked a lot about just routines and stuff, and I think I I um, I think I recorded the Discord screen, and then I may be able to zoom with my Final Cut Pro. I may be able to zoom or to cut out the chart on Discord and zoom in. Let's see how the quality is. Oh, all this technical stuff all the time. And now that I have a new form of recording with OBS, I need to learn new stuff, obviously. So because otherwise it doesn't record the voice. But yeah, so as said, you're my test guinea pigs. Sorry for that, but we will figure this out. Time can it be mornings for Asian, nights for US folks, starting from next month? It's a lot of travel for me. Yeah, I mean, I did the polls and the majority agreed on those days and those times, so I think we just keep them that way for now. For this month. And then we will do another poll if we do another month. All right, guys. So I wish everybody a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and we talk next week on Wednesday. Bye bye.